WMAX-FM HD2 Holland.
This is West Michigan's Talk 1230.
WTKG.
The following program's opinions, viewpoints, and promises are not those of WTKG, its staff, management, or parent company, Clear Channel Media and Entertainment.
Stay tuned for the all-new Political Twist-Up Show, brought to you by Clio Cultivation and by the law offices of Targowski & Grow. The show starts after this. The law offices of Targowski & Grow remind you to stand up for your rights. Always treat law enforcement with respect, but if you're detained or arrested, stand up for your rights by repeating, I respectfully invoke all of my legal and constitutional rights. I do not consent to any search or seizure. I want to remain silent, and I want to talk to my attorneys, John Targowski and Daniel Grow. Targowski & Grow have the education and experience you need to be successful in Michigan courts. Call Targowski & Grow toll-free, 800-957-1069. The law offices of Targowski & Grow, 800-957-1069.
Well, this formula is specifically to grow cannabis.
That's Ray Kogo for Kogo's Original Cannabis Formula Nutrients.
Now, everybody knows that large buds and tight buds come from genetics, and then the amount of light you use. The other part is having the correct nutrients that the plant's going to use. Mine specifically to grow cannabis, so it's going to get everything that it needs.
Ray knows what you may not. Those nutrient companies you can get in most grow shops are not cannabis specific. That means they take the stuff out of the bloom that your plant needs in bloom. You can get Kogo's Original Cannabis Formula Nutrients too. It's just 2 1-gallon jugs that make over 600 gallons of nutrients, all for less than $100. See the difference for yourself.
More trichomes, bigger buds, faster growth, and for less money.
Go to CANNABISformula.com or call Ray direct at 517-375-8998. That's 517-375-8998. Kogo's Original Cannabis Formula Nutrients. Are you a business that Michigan medical marijuana patients would be interested in? Here's an opportunity to list in the Michigan Medical Marijuana Business Directory for free. People from all over Michigan come to the Michigan Medical Marijuana Business Directory to find goods and services at local establishments. List yours for free by going to mmma.biz and click on Add Business. You can even choose to add features to your listing that add additional benefits. Grow your business. List it for free at mmma.biz. That's mmma.biz.
You should check yourself. You're the extremist. I'm a federal criminal. I'm a criminal to, half the people in the state. I'm not the extremist, sir. And I resent being called an extremist. Extremist. Check yourself, sir. The extremism, Senator, is coming from... No, sir.
This is the Political Twist-Up Show. PoliticalTwistUp.com if you didn't know. We're here to put you in the zone. Freedom of speech with Steve Green. Ryan, Rick, and Denise, the Political Dream Show.
Oh, see, it's big news. Big news. We always got big news.
No, sir, you're the extremist. I'm not the extremist. That, sir, is an extreme viewpoint.
Not a speck of education on the waves of most radio stations.
Are we on the air? We are. Look at that. Wow, what a beautiful day in Michigan. Welcome to the Political Twist-Up Show. I'm Steve Green. With us in the studio, Rick Thompson. Hello, Rick.
Hi.
And Ryan Bringold, our show producer.
Good afternoon.
You got an accident on the way here?
Yeah, a little one. Not too bad.
You're all right? Everybody's okay?
Everybody's okay. I think the car's hurt worse than anything.
Bit of a fender bender. Welcome to the program. If you're listening in Flint today, sorry about the quality of the audio. It's a little lackluster at the moment. We're trying to get that fixed and patched up. Fidelity will improve, hopefully, before the program hour is out.
Not my personal fidelity, though.
We are coming to you live from the studios of Woodward One. It's the Brian Daly Law Show studios. They were good enough to make room for us in here.
Nice digs. This is fantastic. Royal Oak's a fun community, and we have a great view of the residential neighborhoods. It's great.
So thanks to Dave Scott and the people at the Brian Daly Law Show for making room for us. We got to love you for that. The program today, we're talking about the issue with the emergency manager law. The emergency manager thing has been big in the news most recently as early as Thursday. Did you see what happened Thursday, Rick?
Oh, sure. The emergency financial manager was. Is that the day that he was appointed by Snyder?
No, he went into effect. He started working this week,
Mm-hmm.
and Al Sharpton came to town with the National Action Network and filed a lawsuit at the federal building against the whole Michigan law. Doesn't like the Michigan law and is of the point of view that this is bad for cities, that taking away local control, voter control, because you understand the emergency law has the effect of putting somebody in place that has the authority, that takes the authority of city council and mayor away when it comes to these financial issues.
Even able to cancel contracts and such.
Reorganize all debt, eliminate debt, reorganize debt, make deals, break deals.
That's the advantage of a financial manager, is they can do all of that without having the burden of a bureaucracy. That's also the danger of it, because you need that bureaucracy to make sure there's not an abuse of power.
Now, Al Sharpton came to town. They had some meeting with some local residents who've been opposed to this all along, and I believe some as well people from the business community. And they had a little protest, and then they marched down to the courthouse and filed suit. Now, in the wake of that, I was hoping that we could get Mr. Sharpton on the air. And he's very busy. He's got his own program. He does the stuff with MSNBC. He's got a lot of stuff going on.
He's not just sitting in his living room eating Cheetos in his underwear, right?
Well, no, he's certainly not.
It's Easter weekend. He's a
possibly Doritos, not Cheetos.
Well, and he's back in New York. Even his appearance in Detroit was fleeting. It was very brief. Literally, he got off the plane, did the meeting, did the march, filed the papers, back on the plane. That's how little time he had. So in lack of being able to get Mr. Sharpton on the program, we extended an offer to the Reverend Jesse Jackson, who is also kind of connected with Mr. Sharpton in what they do.
Certainly. Civil rights activists, international figures, both of them.
The Rainbow Push Coalition is Reverend Jackson's, and the National Action Network is kind of the wing of Reverend Sharpton.
Right.
And so... unfortunately, the Reverend Jackson is on a plane at the moment, so he's unable to join us on the program and help to consume this talk. However, we were able to get with Rep. Durhal, who is running for the mayor of City Detroit.
Rep. Fred Durhal has been a big, strong supporter of civil rights for a long time.
He is currently the state representative, 6th House District representative, and also we were able to get through to the Pontiac Mayor Leon Jakowski.
Nice.
And talk to the mayor today. Hopefully, here in the next few minutes, we'll get him on the phone and maybe have a little bit of debate about this issue. I think it's interesting that the city of Detroit is now under financial emergency manager, and you've got a mayoral race happening. And it's what a strange place it must be for people running for office saying, hey, elect me, I can do good, I have, this is what I'm going to do, but yet they're under the control of somebody else. That's got to be a unique place to be running for office.
Absolutely not. Drive an hour north in Flint, we've had an emergency financial manager for quite a while, Mr. Kurtz, and all of the officers in Flint have run under the same auspices too. It may be unique for Detroit, but it's certainly not unique for the state.
No, I'm not saying it's
There's
unique
another piece of this puzzle that you haven't mentioned yet.
Oh. I like puzzle pieces.
Dan Gilbert announced the renovation of Detroit, or the new, projects that will be starting this summer. How does that play? It's right when the emergency manager's involved. You have the election, and now you have all this private money coming in to refurbish Detroit. How does that play? Is that because city council now has no power and business can push their agenda?
Well, those are those are definitely issues we can explore for sure. I think these are the wrong guys to ask about that specific Detroit question.
Right.
I think when we have part 2 of this conversation come April 16th, because that's when I believe we'll have an opportunity to reconsume this. And also, I believe that's when we might be able to get Reverend Jackson on to talk about his opposition to this issue as well. So we'll come back and kind of maybe talk about that then when it's more appropriate, because I'd like to have at the same time, we'll see if we can invite Kevin Oron, who is the emergency manager for the city of Detroit.
Fantastic.
And see if we can't get him to shine some light on a question like what you just posed. Getting back to what you said, Rick, about the issue with this being a unique situation in this state, I wasn't trying to make that claim. What I'm saying is, as a politician, it must be a unique situation to have to run for office, which is under control partially by somebody else who's been appointed. That's got to be a unique thing to do. I would never I can see wanting to run for office and saying, hey, how do you do that? How do you stump and say, vote for me when it's under partial control of somebody else already?
Well, and that's the difficult thing. How do you hold politicians accountable for their actions when they can easily just state that the negative effects of what's going on in the city is the responsibility of someone else, this single guy that becomes a pariah for all the ills of the community. The Kurtz situation in Flint has, generally speaking, been a very good one for our community. I would never speak for the people of the city of Detroit, but I can definitely tell you that there's been no greater attention on the city of Detroit nationally than there has been right now in the year of 2013. This is our opportunity to really show up and shine.
So if you want to ask a question of the mayor of the city of Pontiac, or if you want to ask Rep. Durhal a question about this emergency manager issue, if you've got an issue about, I don't care if you live in Grand Rapids or if you live in Flint or if you live in any of the cities in between.
They're all vulnerable to this law.
If you want to understand what this means to you, because there are people, this lawsuit is trying to dissemble that law right now. I mean, they're trying to put a stop on it. Mm-hmm. And some people are even going back as far as saying, look, the appointment of the manager, it wasn't done under the what is it, the Sunshine thing? What is it, Open Meetings Act?
Right, correct, the Open Meetings Act.
And so he's not really a manager right now because. So, I mean, there's a lot of people. I'm not of that camp. No, I'm not suggesting that people should be of that camp.
No, but those procedural issues are absolutely significant in courtroom situations, and they're the kind of technicalities that can get laws overturned. We've seen that happen with petition issues regarding the medical marijuana issue, petition issues in Detroit and in other places, recall Bill Schuette language that's been rejected by, I think, for small technicalities. These are the kind of things that decide whether a law is acceptable or not. And oftentimes they don't challenge that until after people have spent an awful lot of money to support that particular issue, and then that's all wasted. So there's a lot of strategy involved in when you bring up these issues and which issues you raise and at what time.
So if you want to call the program and ask a question of the mayor or Rep. Durhal when we get them on, if you're starting to think about that now, 810-423-2350 is the phone number, 810-423-2350. Normally we would sit here, we have a chance to talk about the news. If you guys got anything you want to bring, because I didn't set up with the news I just, frankly, with getting to the new studio today and getting all this stuff organized, and we're still up on shaky audio in Flint.
It was a great news week. There's all kinds of things.
Well, I'm just
Right to Work came in Thursday along with the emergency manager.
Tons of states are doing things as far as civil liberties go, marijuana laws, gun rights. Definitely guns have been in the news big time.
Wow. Well, we won't have a lot of time to talk about it now. We'll get back to things. We'll see if we can get the mayor on the phone at Rep. Durhal. We'll be back on the Political Twist-Up Show. This is the Multimedia Digital Network.
AM 1230, WTKG.
The Political Twist-Up Show.
Well, this formula is specifically to grow cannabis.
That's Ray Kogo for Kogo's Original Cannabis Formula Nutrients.
Now, everybody knows that large buds and tight buds come from genetics, and then the amount of light you use. The other part is having the correct nutrients that the plant's going to use. Mine specifically to grow cannabis, so it's going to get everything that it needs.
Ray knows what you may not. Those nutrient companies you can get in most grow shops are not cannabis specific. That means they take the stuff out of the bloom that your plant needs in bloom. You can get Kogo's Original Cannabis Formula Nutrients too. It's just 2 1-gallon jugs that make over 600 gallons of nutrients, all for less than $100. See the difference for yourself.
More trichomes, bigger buds, faster growth, and for less money.
Go to CANNABISformula.com or call Ray direct at 517-375-8998. That's 517-375-8998. Kogo's Original Cannabis Formula Nutrients. Get everything you need at Hydrovision Indoor Gardening Centers. It's spring, and it's time you get to planting. And whether you're starting plants indoors for the outdoor season or just making your house more green, the technical experts at Hydrovision stores will help you with indoor design and supply so that your indoor gardening dreams always become reality. Mention my name, Steve Green, for a special discount. Hydrovision Indoor Gardening Centers in Howell, Trenton, Richmond, Fenton, and Belleville, one near you, or check out myhydrovision.com. The law offices of Targowski and Grow remind you to stand up for your rights. Always treat law enforcement with respect, but if you're detained or arrested, stand up for your rights by repeating, I respectfully invoke all of my legal and constitutional rights. I do not consent to any search or seizure. I want to remain silent, and I want to talk to my attorneys, John Targowski and Daniel Grow. Targowski and Grow have the education and experience you need to be successful in Michigan courts. Call Targowski and Grow toll free, 800-957-1069. The law offices of Targowski and Grow, 800-957-1069. You know, building your business starts with planning. Market planning, location strategy, competition, product availability. It's all very hard work, but none of it means anything unless you can get your customers to know about you. And you know, that's really the key right there, getting your customers to know about you. How do you do that? All that dedication goes to waste. The Multimedia Digital Network can provide you real-world, affordable solutions to your advertising needs. You get a rich environment for exposure potential where each listener is a potential client of yours. Unlike most advertising, targeted results. That's what you get with statewide exposure on shows like the Political Twist-Up Show. You can get started today and within your budget. Don't get short-sighted running a day-to-day of your business. Grow your business with affordable cross-platform advertising opportunities with the Multimedia Digital Network. Email sales@radioweedshow.com for details. That's sales@radioweedshow.com.
Have you ever accidentally killed a houseplant? Me too. With a busy lifestyle and without proper feeding and light schedule, it is bound to happen to even the best plants. Hi, it's Buddy here at Clio Cultivation, introducing a new solution to an age-old problem, plant knowledge. Indoor and outdoor horticulture comes with a world of benefits, but without the proper information and techniques, the results can be tragic. At Clio Cultivation, we carry exactly what you need to be wowed and hugely successful from start to finish. We even have an award-winning organic soil called M3, Michigan-made mix. This soil has everything your crops need for the entire growing season. Just add seeds or plants, water, and light. With more knowledge, your growing experience will become easy and fun. Come with an open heart and mind to 11394 North Saginaw Road or call 810-686-GROW. 10 to 7 weekdays, Saturday 10 to 5. If you make Clio Cultivation your place to learn and save, we will help you become the grower you want to be. Happy, healthy, and free.
The Political Twist-Up Radio Show.
This is WTKG.
Program, though, you can find us here live Saturdays from 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on your actual radio dial. Check out the great ways you can listen to the Political Twist-Up Show, or maybe many times watch the show back, at politicaltwistup.com. The Political Twist-Up Show examines hot-button political topics. Today, talking to emergency financial managers and what it means to Michigan cities. We're actually not talking to the emergency financial manager. On the phone with us at the moment, the mayor of the city of Pontiac. Hello, Mayor.
Hello, how are you doing?
I am terrific, sir. Happy Easter to you.
And to you.
We wanted to have you on because, you occupy a place in the state that has had this to deal with for quite some time. Can you give us an overview of what this has meant, the emergency manager thing? Give us an overview of what's happened to Pontiac for people that are unfamiliar.
Well, I ran for office 4 years ago when we were already under an emergency manager. Pontiac's been through 3 of them. Fred Lee, Michael Stampfler, and then currently we have a gentleman by the name of Lou Schimmel, who's the emergency manager for the city. Pontiac has gone from having tax revenues of about $55 million and currently today about 29. And in the face of all of that, it looks like we're about to balance our budget and be structurally balanced going forward.
Well, that's certainly some good news.
Yeah.
Well, now, you've had 3 different financial managers to deal with in the course of your mayoral history?
Yes, I have.
Can you give us a rundown on what that's meant?
Well, I think, a lot of people complain about the emergency manager laws, and I guess I'd say as somebody that's lived through it, the major pitfall is that if you get the wrong person, the law can be very, very problematic. In our case, I think we've had the wrong person twice, and currently we have the right person.
Pontiac Mayor Leon Jakowski with us on the phone. State Representative Fred Durhal Jr. He's House District 6 representative, Democratic representative in Detroit. Welcome to the program, Rep. Durhal.
Oh, thank you, Steve. It's nice to be here.
Say, now you've got this same situation. You're in a situation where you're running. You're a candidate for mayor in the city of Detroit, and you're running where the office is partly held by an emergency manager. Can you speak to how that's got to be a unique place? I'm fascinated with that as a political candidate. How do you stump when partially it's under control by somebody else? What do you do?
Well, I've been asked that question every day since the emergency manager was threatened to be put into the city, and of course now the answer for us is the man is there. He's not being based on my support, but I can tell you this. We have to work with him now to try to do what is best for the people and the city.
And I think if I'm not mistaken, Mayor Jakowski, you would agree that the best thing to move forward is to roll up your sleeves and hold hands and hold noses, perhaps, but get it done.
Absolutely. I think what people miss is you're elected to do a job, and whether you're in charge, there's an emergency manager in charge, or somebody else, you ran making promises to take care of basic services and other things, and you have an obligation to try and deliver on those promises, no matter how difficult the situation is.
Now, when you took over as mayor, the city of Pontiac had its own police force, yes?
That's correct.
And the response time at that time, average response time if you had a 911 call, my understanding is, and you can confirm this or not, that it was about an hour and 15 minutes, and that was really if you were only of the magnitude and order of an immediate ongoing crime or emergency threat to person or property.
We had gotten to the point where dispatch would tell you that for property crimes, they simply wouldn't, they would say, after having the Oakland County Sheriff's Division in for about a year, that time was reduced to about 5 minutes average.
Wow, all you can say about that is the proof is in the pudding when it comes to the results after the change.
Something else I'd like to point out is a lot of people are very, very worried about the emergency manager and saying that, what happens is union busting. In Pontiac, when we contracted out with the sheriff, they actually hired back 25 of our guys that we had to lay off.
And they're union guys.
Yep. So what happened was they changed unions and they changed uniforms, but I essentially have my police force back, but working under the supervision of the Oakland County Sheriff's Division.
All I can say is congratulations to that success story, Mayor.
Yep. It's been the best thing that's happened in the city in probably the last 10 years.
And are you currently running with a combination of Oakland County Sheriff's Department and Michigan State Police providing public safety in the city, or are the Michigan State Police?
Michigan State Police provide backup, I think, on major roads, and backup for emergency calls if it's needed. But they're really more street patrol. Major streets where the day-to-day policing is firmly in Oakland County's hands.
Now, Rick had mentioned that the city of Flint is currently under financial manager. It looks like he's pretty much almost done with his duties there. Is he not, Rick? Is that pretty much at an end case scenario where they're ready to hand control back to the mayor and the city council?
Boy, that's awful difficult to say because I believe those decisions are made by the governor's office. Perhaps, Mayor, you could give me a better insight into that.
The interesting thing with a city under an emergency manager under all of these statutes is that the emergency is essentially over when Treasury decides it's over. Where in a school district, I think under previous statutes, at least, I'm not sure the new act, but under previous acts, he had a term. He was there for a year or 18 months, whatever it was. In a city, it's open-ended.
And when you're saying treasurer, you're referring to a branch of the state of Michigan government?
Yes.
The state treasurer makes that decision.
Yes.
Rep Durhal,
Yes.
we have similar problems with obviously public safety departments, fire and police in the city of Detroit, sometimes with response time, sometimes with even showing up at all, sometimes with vehicles having tires flying off on them while they're responding to an emergency situation. Is there something that you look forward to in running for a mayor of the city of Detroit in working with a financial manager to address those situations, given the scenario that the Pontiac mayor has just laid out for us here now?
Yeah, I think we have to look outside of the box and figure out how we can take services such as the Wayne County Sheriff, the Michigan State Police, the FBI, the Homeland Security, all of those folks who are law enforcement officials are operating out of the city of Detroit. And I was pleased to see that there is a effort with the Detroit office of the Attorney General to be able to make sure that we're going to have these services combined together to provide public safety for the city of Detroit.
It looks
I think that is absolutely essential, whether we have an emergency manager or a mayor.
Couldn't agree with you more, Rep Durhal. It looks like there is some headway already being done on the level of the state and county governments in trying to provide some kind of assistance in that arena already. And I would imagine that it's got to be on the emergency manager's list to address further.
Well, I agree. I think, I'm pleased to see that we were able to get the business community of the city of Detroit to buy brand new EMS ambulances and 100 patrol cars for the police officers in the city of Detroit.
Now that was due to some private money, was it not? Wasn't that funds raised by private industry?
That's correct. That's correct. But let me say this: I believe that all of the corporations that operate in these local cities, villages, and townships have an obligation to be a good citizen. And I want to really applaud the effort, of Roger Pinsky pulling folk together who didn't have to do it, but they did it because they knew it was the right thing to do.
There's a number of other cities that could perhaps be facing this situation. I don't have them sitting in front of me. I meant to be looking at those at the moment. I'll have to review that in just a second.
In line to have an emergency financial manager appointed, you mean?
Yeah, I mean we've had E-Course went through this, I don't have the list right in front of me. But
Benton Harbor, E-Course, Pontiac, Detroit, the Detroit Public School System, and Allen Park and Lincoln Park have been looking at that possibility because of the debt.
Mayor,
there are 18 cities that are on the list that have or about to become put in emergency management because of their budget situation.
Now, Rep Durhal, with the lawsuit that's been filed by Reverend Sharpton, all of that seems to be at least temporarily in question or put on hold. There are still efforts going on in the city of Detroit to accommodate an emergency financial manager. What's the prognosis for success of the Reverend's effort to detract this?
Well, it's, a lawsuit going into federal court. Only God knows how that's going to come out. But I can tell you this, there are serious constitutional questions about going in and in effect diselecting those people who have been elected by the public to represent them. Now, to his credit, the emergency manager of Detroit has seen fit to keep the city council and the mayor of Detroit. But he could have, under Public Act 436, wiped them out.
Right.
Didn't he also vote to keep their salaries in place?
Yes, he did.
Which I thought was a kind of an olive branch.
Yeah, for him as an individual.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But that ought to be the standard for all emergency managers in Michigan.
Just in the interest of fairness as it relates to political candidates, the other declared candidates for the city of Detroit mayoral candidacy this year are Crystal Crittenden, the former corporate counsel for the city of Detroit. Mike Dugan, he's the former Wayne County prosecutor. Of course, there's Rep. Durhal. Lisa House, she's a former state representative. Mark Murphy, community advocate. And, of course, then just announcing last week, Benny Napoleon, Wayne County sheriff and former Detroit City of Police chief. I just wanted to say that in the interest of people who are, just for fairness, because I didn't want anybody looking at us saying, oh, we're giving Rep. Durhal some special favor. We're not. And for the record, any of those people that I just mentioned and any future potential candidates certainly have an open platform here to come in and discuss this issue, the emergency manager issue, with us on the program.
And look at Steve, I think it's great for you to do this in a public service. People need to know who the candidates for mayor are going to be. They need to vet them. They need to talk with them and find out what their positions on the issues are. Because the issues are more than just emergency management.
Right.
You've got public safety, you've got education, you've got jobs and economic development. We've got the entire way the city looks in terms of the physical plant. So infrastructure is an issue. And what is going to happen in the community, in the neighborhood? People are concerned about all of the money going downtown and none of it being spent out in the main community.
Well, and this is, I think, why we wanted to bring this program and subject on the air about this topic is because this does have an effect and impact on every single person listening to this program right now. And if you're in Grand Rapids, you're not in jeopardy of an emergency financial manager right now. But there are some other outlying communities that might have this as an issue, and I think it's important for you to be armed with this information and knowledge because before it visits your doorstep and you don't know what to do.
Well, and
I think that everyone should take a look at Public Act number 436. You can pick it up by going on the computer and going to michiganlegislature.org.
Before we only got a couple of minutes before break. Mayor, do you have anything you wanted to add about this? I know that you started to interject there, and there were too many people talking at the same time. I wanted to give you an opportunity.
I think what Representative Durhal is saying is absolutely correct. You can't become overly focused on Act 436. I mean, the courts are going to decide what's right and what's wrong and what we can and we can't do. But the reality on the ground is right now, Detroit has an emergency manager just like Pontiac does, and you've got to deal with that.
Oh, that's right.
Very true. Rep. Durhal, you had mentioned a great number of...
Right.
Go ahead, Rep, please.
The mayor understands what all of us as elected officials understand. Listen, it does not matter if you're $1 million in debt or $100 in debt. If you don't have the money to pay it, you got a problem.
Yep.
And it's got to be resolved.
Well, it's really difficult to tell people that they should be saving their money and not going into debt and not going to bankruptcy court when we're doing that ourselves as cities inside the state. Gentlemen, hang on with us for just a moment. We've got to run off to break. This is the Political Twist-Up Show on the Multimedia Digital Network.
WTKG, Grand Rapids.
Get everything you need at Hydrovision Indoor Gardening Centers. It's spring, and it's time you get to planting. And whether you're starting plants indoors for the outdoor season or just making your house more green, the technical experts at Hydrovision stores will help you with indoor design and supply so that your indoor gardening dreams always become reality. Mention my name, Steve Green, for a special discount. Hydrovision Indoor Gardening Centers in Howell, Trenton, Richmond, Benton, and Belleville, one near you, or check out myhydrovision.com. You know, building your business starts with planning, market planning, location strategy, competition, product availability. It's all very hard work, but none of it means anything unless you can get your customers to know about you. And you know, that's really the key right there, getting your customers to know about you. How do you do that? All that dedication goes to waste. The Multimedia Digital Network can provide you real-world, affordable solutions to your advertising needs. You get a rich environment for exposure potential where each listener is a potential client of yours. Unlike most advertising, targeted results. That's what you get with statewide exposure on shows like the Political Twist-Up Show. You can get started today and within your budget. Don't get short-sighted running a day-to-day of your business. Grow your business with affordable cross-platform advertising opportunities with the Multimedia Digital Network. Email sales@radioweedshow.com for details. That's sales@radioweedshow.com.
Well, this formula is specifically to grow cannabis.
That's Ray Kogo for Kogo's Original Cannabis Formula Nutrients.
Now, everybody knows that large buds and tight buds come from genetics, and then the amount of light you use. The other part is having the correct nutrients that the plant's going to use. Mine specifically to grow cannabis, so it's going to get everything that it needs.
Ray knows what you may not. Those nutrient companies you can get in most grow shops are not cannabis specific. That means they take the stuff out of the bloom that your plant needs in bloom. You can get Kogo's Original Cannabis Formula Nutrients too. It's just 2 1-gallon jugs that make over 600 gallons of nutrients, all for less than $100. See the difference for yourself.
More trichomes, bigger buds, faster growth, and for less money.
Go to CANNABISformula.com or call Ray direct at 517-375-8998. That's 517-375-8998. Kogo's Original Cannabis Formula Nutrients. Are you a business that Michigan medical marijuana patients would be interested in? Here's an opportunity to list in the Michigan Medical Marijuana Business Directory for free. People from all over Michigan come to the Michigan Medical Marijuana Business Directory to find goods and services at local establishments. List yours for free by going to mmma.biz and click on Add Business. You can even choose to add features to your listing that add additional benefits. Grow your business. List it for free at mmma.biz. That's mmma.biz.
The Political Twist-Up Radio Show.
WTKG.
Back live talking about the business of emergency manager of a city and whether that's acceptable, or is there another answer besides bankruptcy? Detroit fell under control of Kevin Orr this week. Got great credentials, according to some. There seems to be a lot of positive and negative energy surrounding this issue in Detroit. With us on the phone today to talk about this, State Representative for the 6th House District in Detroit, Fred Durhal Jr., and the Mayor of the City of Pontiac. Mayor Jakowski, I just wanted to ask you about this thing with the fire department. Fire department had a similar problem that the police department had with response time, and then also there was no more money to fund the program. You guys answered that question how? You disbanded the department, did you not?
Well, yeah, and I think it's only fair to say I think our fire department had excellent response times, but they were stretched. What had suffered was training and equipment maintenance and that kind of thing.
Stuff breaks and gets old.
What we found, though, was that by consolidating our fire department with Waterford's fire department, we were able to save almost $4 million a year.
Great.
And it's a similar
no change in response times, essentially.
Similar success story to the merging of the Pontiac Police Department with the Oakland County Sheriff's Department.
Yes.
Rep. Durhal, do you see some headway here in some application that you can apply from the wheel that they generated in Pontiac? Can we put that wheel on the road in Detroit?
I don't know if that model fits the city of Detroit. I think that what we have to do is try to make both a fiscal analysis and look at it in terms of the fire department's ability to respond. Our issue in Detroit is some equipment that is not functional because it hasn't been kept up. And that is an easily resolved issue. In terms of layoff firemen and police officers, it's not in the interest of city government to be able to do that. Pardon me. We have to come up, though, with a viable way to keep firefighters and police officers on the job. We have the utility users tax, which generates dollars for that, but it's recently been rated, by the brand new public lighting authority that's going to take if I remember correctly, $167 million out of the utility users tax so that they can bond, have money up for collateral to bond on the new lighting situation. I don't agree with that, and I voted against it because I thought that it was not good to raise funds that's going to keep your public safety first responders, on the team. So we'll find another way to get it done, and I'm sure that we can. The city is owed almost $900 million, and I'm sure that once we start collecting that money that we have not been collecting, we'll be able to apply a lot of those savings, to fixing equipment and also adding and keeping firefighters and police officers.
On the phone with us today, Pontiac Mayor Leon Jakowski and Rep. Fred Durhal. He's running for mayor of the city of Detroit. He's also currently a 6th District State Representative. Gentlemen, I'm going to invite people to call in and talk to you if they'd like to. Got listeners both in the Flint and Pontiac markets. And Grand Rapids markets. Pontiac's a part of the south part of the Flint market.
Yes, it is.
810-423-2350 if you got a question for either one of our guests today. Happy Easter to you both. Incidentally,
happy Easter to you.
We got some awesome, beautiful weather, and I'm just hoping that we can pull our fair cities together and move them forward and take advantage of some of what we've got happening for us in the future. The future is what we carve out of it. And I think when it relates to this subject, I'm always concerned that there's going to be some divisive qualities that are going to maybe slow things down or drag things down or make things take longer. And I'm kind of the mind that if I'm going to have a Band-Aid ripped off, just take it off quickly. I don't want to pull it off slowly over time. Yeah. And the same thing goes with taking bad medicine. Just swallow it and get it over with.
One of the interesting things is, but one of the questions I'm asked most often is, if it worked in Pontiac, can't they sort of use that as a model for what could happen in Detroit? And I think that there are a lot of lessons to be learned from Pontiac. The problem is the scale of Detroit might mean that some of the things that worked here aren't going to work in Detroit. The police department, for example, I think that it's, and I'm speaking about something that I don't know a lot about here, but it seems to me that the Detroit Police Department might be almost as big as the Oakland or the Wayne County Sheriff's Division. And so a consolidation of those two might present different problems than what we had up here.
I would agree with that. I think, Mr. Mayor, they work together as much as they can in a consolidation project that's going on right now. But the Detroit Police Department has had as many as 4,000 officers. Yep. And because of what has happened in terms of the general economy, and more specifically how it affected the city of Detroit, those numbers have been reduced down to about 2,000 or less.
Yeah.
It's my mission as a mayor to be in Detroit to increase the number of police officers and to also change the manner in which police officers patrol. I think during the day that we can do some things such as one-man scout cars to be able to flood the city with police cars and police officers. Now, at night, we will have to revert back to the old system. It's simply too dangerous. But during the daytime, I think that we could up the response time and cut it to a point where it would be 4 minutes from the time you hang up a telephone to the time a police car is sitting in your house, or less.
Right.
And I think those are the kinds of things that we can look at. And I know that the mayor would be one of those individuals that I would be talking to, along with other mayors in the region, about ways that they are doing their patrolling, which may help the city of Detroit as well. I think we don't talk to each other like we should.
That's true. That is absolutely true.
Isn't there a Southeast Michigan Regional Council of Governors that you guys...
Yeah, there is. But they don't handle police matters.
No.
They don't handle, EMS and fire as it relates to individual cities.
Interesting.
Rep. Durhal, I wanted to ask you with regards to the city of Detroit, as there seems to be a really deep-seated anger amongst some city residents about this takeover issue. Regardless of what it is or what it isn't, it doesn't matter how you package this and feed it to them. They're opposed. They're adamantly opposed. They're protesting. Where does this come from? Is this a union thing? I mean, we've had the union thing going on. The right to work thing just takes effect this month. Is this just kind of some backlash from that angle? Where is this deep-seated anger about the emergency manager?
I think it comes from a real constitutional problem, as I mentioned before. There's a Home Rule Act which allows cities the ability to create their own government and be able to run the government on a daily basis. When you start looking at bringing an appointed person in, not elected, but an appointed person by another appointed person who is then appointed by the elected official. In the case of the governor, who appoints the treasurer, who appoints the emergency manager.
It's a government takeover of government.
Yeah, that's exactly. The takeover comes in when an emergency manager can come in and undo the results of the election. And there are some serious concerns about violating the Voter Rights Act of the United States because of the fact that you, in fact, are nullifying the election that created these public officials in the first place and replacing them potentially with a person who will rule the city and its assets and can dispose of them any way that they want to, just for the sake of balancing budget.
And it's their local tax dollars being controlled by somebody who didn't have anything to do with that tax money, incidentally.
Absolutely.
It's great. It's a great thing for the bottom line or the budget of a school district or a city that's having financial difficulty, this emergency manager situation. It is, however, not necessarily good for employees or companies that work for the city or any unions, potentially.
Constitutional liberties.
Let me just Rep. Durhal, let me just finish the thought. What they agreed to, what they bargained for, what they are promised can now potentially be gone. I mean, if you work for the city all your life and you're retired and they do away with the retirement fund, with the pension program, how is that good for city employees, for people? And these are residents of the city.
Let me tell you really quickly here, though. The pensions are constitutionally protected.
Gentlemen, I hate to put you on hold for a second. We're about to hit break. We're going to talk live with you in a moment. You're listening to the Political Twist Up Show on the Multimedia Digital Network. Stand by, fellas.
AM 1230 WTKG.
The Political Twist Up Show. Get everything you need at Hydrovision Indoor Gardening Centers. It's spring, and it's time you get to planting. And whether you're starting plants indoors for the outdoor season or just making your house more green, the technical experts at Hydrovision stores will help you with indoor design and supply so that your indoor gardening dreams always become reality. Mention my name, Steve Green, for a special discount. Hydrovision Indoor Gardening Centers in Howell, Trenton, Richmond, Benton, and Belleville, one near you, or check out myhydrovision.com. You know, building your business starts with planning. Market planning, location strategy, competition, product availability. It's all very hard work, but none of it means anything unless you can get your customers to know about you. And you know, that's really the key right there, getting your customers to know about you. How do you do that? All that dedication goes to waste. The Multimedia Digital Network can provide you real-world, affordable solutions to your advertising needs. You get a rich environment for exposure potential where each listener is a potential client of yours. Unlike most advertising, targeted results. That's what you get with statewide exposure on shows like the Political Twist-Up Show. You can get started today and within your budget. Don't get short-sighted running a day-to-day of your business. Grow your business with affordable cross-platform advertising opportunities with the Multimedia Digital Network. Email sales@radioweedshow.com for details. That's sales@radioweedshow.com. The law offices of Targowski and Grow remind you to stand up for your rights. Always treat law enforcement with respect, but if you're detained or arrested, stand up for your rights by repeating, I respectfully invoke all of my legal and constitutional rights. I do not consent to any search or seizure. I want to remain silent, and I want to talk to my attorneys, John Targowski and Daniel Grow. Targowski and Grow have the education and experience you need to be successful in Michigan courts. Call Targowski and Grow toll free, 800-957-1069. The law offices of Targowski and Grow, 800-957-1069.
Hi, Buddy here at Clio Cultivation, calling out to all new growers and to remind old friends how we are different. Our number one goal is to assist you with customer service, product knowledge and selection, the guaranteed lowest prices in our industry, and inside information others don't want you to know. We have a grower's handbook by the Garden Sage for $25 that will save you countless time and money. Spend $500 on a single sale and it's free. We will help you in every way to get started and stay growing strong all year long. March specials include 8-inch Raptors $199, 1000-watt switch bowl magnetic ballast $89.95, complete 1000-watt systems $179, RO machines $149, 8 light T5s $189, Ocean Forest and Happy Frog $13.95, no limits. We are constantly making improvements and are proud to help you lead the way. Come to 11394 North Saginaw Road, where each relationship is personal and genuine, or call 810-686-GROW, 10 to 7 weekdays, Saturday 10 to 5. As you learn with Clio Cultivation, the only thing in the dark is the flowers.
The Political Twist Up Radio Show.
You're hearing AM 1230 WTKG.
You know, you can watch the show live at politicaltwistup.com most of the time. We're not on the .com today. Unfortunately, we have problems with our Ustream feed. If you're listening on the radio, we're something, that you can find on your regular radio dial every week. You can watch the show back later right on the website. Again, it's politicaltwistup.com. We're in studio this week. Next week, you'll hear us live from the Monroe Street Fair at the Hash Bash 2013 in Ann Arbor, right out in front of the Green Planet. And we'll revisit this subject back in the studio on April 16th when tentatively have scheduled the Reverend Jesse Jackson to come in and talk about this subject. Obviously, he's very opposed to the emergency management situation. Also going to invite the mayor of Detroit and his financial manager, Kevin Orr, see if we can get those guys on. Looking way forward to the 20th, that's 420 for the legalized cannabis crowd. We're broadcasting live from Denver, Colorado, where we're hoping to bring you awesome guests from the first ever U.S. Cannabis Cup. With us on the phone today, Rep. Durhal and Mayor Leon Jakowski, the mayor of the city of Pontiac. I cut you off, Rep. Durhal. I apologize. Go ahead and pick up from where you left off. We were talking about what was going on with this thing with the fire and the city budgets, and I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. It's a good situation for us to talk about how we're going to work cooperatively between the city of Detroit and its neighboring suburbs about issues that relate to policing, issues that relate to taxation, even as it relates to the sharing of services that, equate to both entities, whether it's the city or the suburbs. And the other thing I think is important that we have to look at in terms of the future is how are we going to be able to rebuild the city of Detroit. I think the rebuilding of the city of Detroit is a most important thing. If Detroit isn't functioning well, the state of Michigan won't be functioning well either.
Well, Detroit to Michigan, as California is to the United States, it is kind of like the economy generator in the corner over there.
That's correct. And anybody that doesn't understand anything about government and about, being prosperous. If Detroit is going well, I'm telling you, the rest of this state will pick up and go well just as well.
Absolutely true.
But we've got to deal with the problems of employment. We got to deal with the problem of, the school system not being where it ought to be. We got to deal with the whole issue of the communities falling apart in terms of housing. And so we've got a lot on our plate, and any mayor of the city of Detroit is going to have to be a person who has some experience in government, who knows what to do, because that is not going to be a training ground. The mayor's office in Detroit should never be a training ground for any person who has not had governmental experience.
Right.
The stakes are too high.
If you look at the this as it relates to education, I'm going to talk about police, but my story relates to education. If you look at the city of New Orleans, and the corruption that they had inside of their police department for the longest time, and I've always been more afraid of going to New Orleans than almost any other place on the planet. It's just a personal fear, because when you've got a situation, an incentive in place, when you pay your police officers $14,000 and $15,000 a year, they're going to do things that are going to be corrupt because they've got to do so in order to pay their own mortgages. The reason I use this as an analogy, because in order to bring the best and the brightest into any corporation as a CEO, you offer them something nice. You want something welcoming there for the best and the brightest, for the ones who've achieved the most in their field, so that you can bring them to hone the nest down to what you need it to be. Isn't that what we should be doing in our education system? Because I see our education system horribly failing our youth, and the youth are our future.
I think there's no question about that. If we don't do what we need to do to make sure that our young people can be able to read, write, and count, we're going to have a dismal society in the city of Detroit and in the state of Michigan and across the United States.
I would suggest that we need to go far beyond read, writing, and counting, Representative. I mean, we're in the technological age. We're in a situation right now in the state of Michigan where there are jobs to be filled and there aren't people to fill them simply because they don't qualify. What an awful place.
But that's my point, Steve. How can you get to the higher level of technologically proficient if you can't get folks to read and write and count?
If you don't have the basics.
You have to crawl before you walk.
That's the basic issue.
I'm picking up what you're putting down. Pontiac Mayor.
Yeah, the Pontiac schools have a similar problem. We've been sort of in denial for years and years and years that the schools were doing well when everybody knows that they aren't.
It's go ahead.
That issue needs to be faced, honestly.
Education has become a regional problem, and it's got to be dealt with in three ways. K through 12, we've got to make sure that kids are going to school and learning the basics. We've got to have preschool ramped up so that children are coming from home and going to school ready to learn. And then we've got to take them from middle school to college. And we really are going to have to up the ante so that kids are learning what they need to be competitively.
We're competing against countries that have K through 14, K through 15, basic educations. Their post-secondary doesn't start until grade 16.
Countries that send their children to school year-round.
That's what I was just going to say. And perhaps this is a larger subject for a better consumption on another day. I'm sorry, Rick. But we're still living in the 1800s when we sent our kids home in the summertime so they could help out with the farm. Really.
Yeah, I agree. Education is a 24/7 day a week thing, and we need to make it that way. And with the new technology that they have, it's no excuse for children to be able to learn on the weekends, to learn while they're going to school, to elongate the school day so that kids are learning.
Well, and to learn how to teach to children of all types and backgrounds and not just one archetype out of a book. I mean, there are ways to address and teach children that we just have not learned how to do in this country, in my belief.
To diversify our subject base.
You can't have lip service. You're absolutely right. You can't say, I'm for education, and in your budget, do everything you can to undermine the ability of schools to be able to function.
Take away their funding?
For example, is going to be cut $27 million just because there are folks in the House of Representatives and Senate who want to punish the university for entering into an 8-year contract with their unions prior to the advent of right to work. I think it's the most, that is the most irresponsible thing you could do.
That's reprehensible, and that's the reason why we put a start date on those things so that people can catch up before that start date, and then to punish someone for taking advantage of that is unreal.
Well, gentlemen, I think also looking forward to the Supreme Court decision that's now looming over this whole affirmative action decision as it relates to higher education is an interesting reflection on our conversation today as well.
You have to remember, though, in higher education, we still are the beacon of the world. Our universities are where people come.
Gentlemen, I really want to thank you for coming on the air today and talking about this and helping to educate our population about what this is and what it isn't. There's a lot of fire to be spread about this, and I think it should be positive fire, in my opinion. It should be fire under the feet of people to get something done and move forward, and to get past what has drug us down in the past. Gentlemen, thanks for coming on the program today.
Thank you, as always. Thank you very much.
See, we got to run. Boy, the time goes quickly. Our show
Great
brought
guest.
to you today in part by the easiest, the most, and the least expensive Kogo's Original Nutrients, the law firm of Targowski and Grow. Call 800-957-1069. By the personal, genuine experience you get from Clio Cultivation. Call 810-696-GROW. Michigan Hydrovision stores where your indoor gardening dreams come true. The American Cultivator at AmericanCultivator.com. By the MMM Report and Michigan Organic Solutions. By Lexco Case, handcrafted, made in Michigan. And by the Compassion Chronicles at CompassionChronicles.com. Our producer is Ryan Bringold and Dave Scott. Thanks to co-hosts Rick Thompson. Our technical producers are Lance Truax and John Ilk. Thank you, Messy J and Codini and Colorblind for the new show open jingle. They worked really hard on that. I have to say thanks to the Brian Daily Law Show for making room in the studio here for us.
Multimedia Digital Network.
The station you're listening to right now is WTKG.
Talk, money, life.
WTKG Grand Rapids, WMAX FM HD2 Holland.
This is West Michigan's Talk 1230.
WTKG.